At this point to welcome in the Hall of Famer, Peyton. Repping Tennessee after they scored 56 points. Good morning, Peyton Manning.
Morning, guys. Thanks for having me. You know, it's hard to pick between the Broncos and the Colts. Both are having great seasons. So I went with Tennessee, a little more neutral. Greeny, real quick, before you get into my questions, can we ask Alex again how he really feels about the Jets ownership? He wasn't very clear with that.
I'm scarred, Peyton.
Well, Peyton, thanks for joining us here. I think it's great to see you because I need a little bit of help, actually, because I cannot get on board with Daniel Jones. All right, Daniel Jones and your old Colt team. Of course, it's great to see both of our former teams doing great in terms of the Patriots and the Colts, but something's just holding me back from going all the way in with Daniel Jones and the Colts. Can you try to convince me? Because these guys can't convince me. I need some help.
Well, Teddy, listen, I think Shane Steichen is an outstanding play caller, always has been, and now Daniel Jones is executing his offense. Look, Jonathan Taylor, I think either he or Baker Mayfield are probably the MVP right now. And I think with Daniel and Jonathan kind of doing their thing, I like the way the Colts are playing. So, look, I'm proud of Daniel. You know, obviously things didn't work out in New York. I love to see these quarterbacks in their second chapter, a la Darnold, a la Baker, a la Daniel. So I'm all on board with the Colts. And, look, it's hard to get these Patriots to like the Colts. I get it, Teddy, but jump on board, baby. There's room.
Hey, Peyton, thanks again for joining us. I wanted to ask you about the game tonight, you know, with Aaron Rodgers going against his longtime former team, the Green Bay Packers. You have such a unique perspective on this, obviously going against the Colts at the end of your career. Can you tell us what this week's been like for Aaron? What are some of the things he's going to be dealing with tonight? What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, you can tell it's been an emotional week already, Alex. And look, Alex, me, you, Randy, Rex, we know what it's like to play for multiple teams. We can't all play for the same team like Teddy. Yeah. Right? Teddy has an office there. He has his own locker there. This is real football. Look, Aaron is lucky the game is not in Green Bay. That's the tough one, as you know, Alex. Yeah. Going back, seeing the stadium, being in the visitors' locker room. The fact that it's in Pittsburgh is a blessing for Aaron. But I loved his comments during the week that he is at peace with his time in Green Bay. He wants to retire there. I hate when former players kind of draw the line and make fans have to pick whose side are you on, the player side or the team side. Aaron Rodgers will always be a Packer. I'm glad he's having a great year in Pittsburgh. It'll be an emotional game for him, pre-game, shaking hands with the equipment manager, seeing his old video director. But once the game starts, he can go out there and play. But he's lucky the game's in Pittsburgh for sure.
Aaron Rodgers trying to do something that Peyton Manning, you are one of very few people ever to do, and that is to be a Hall of Famer to win the Super Bowl in his final game. In fact, it does bring up a very fun little trivia question. Do you know who was the starting quarterback in the last game that Peyton Manning lost in his career? The last starting quarterback to beat Peyton Manning in his NFL career. I've got a little video clue for everybody. Jay, roll that for us, if you will, please. The last quarterback to beat Peyton Manning in a game was Alex.
Alex? I remember it well because it didn't really happen often, man. I got my butt kicked by Peyton so many times. But nice to get at least one. He did go on to win the Super Bowl this year, though. So.
Peyton, your recollections?
Yeah, I think I threw 4 interceptions in that game, so pretty sure I helped beat myself that game, Alex, if you recall. But, always fun competing against – I played against Alex in his first start in San Francisco.
I threw 4 picks in that. I threw 4 interceptions in that one. Yeah.
You know, Peyton, since we sit here talking about former team, I want to talk about, you know, your former team, the Denver Broncos, and this defense. You know, having a guy like Reggie Wayne, having a guy like Marvin Harrison, you guys never shied away from any type of cornerback. Now, today, Broncos going against the Dallas Cowboys. People are talking about George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb going against the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. Take me through the mindset of the quarterback. Peyton, I'm going to put you into the game now. You're going to throw to those 2 wide receivers. Are you shying away from Pat Surtain? Are you shying away from him?
Randy, you know, when you have belief in your receivers, when we had Marvin, we had Reggie, and we had Demarius and Emmanuel, we were going to try to go at their best corner, but you knew you had to throw perfect passes. You had to run perfect routes, and you sort of tried to rise up to the challenge. So I think that's what Dak and CD and George are going to try to do today. You can't throw away from Surtain the whole game, but when you throw at him, you can't miss. You can't throw an out route to the inside, Randy, because you know it's going the other way. So Dak's having an awesome year. He believes in his receivers. You got to be smart about what routes you throw at Surtain. There's certain things I probably wouldn't throw, but you can't just cut down one side of the field as well. That's too much of an advantage for the Broncos defense. It's going to be a really good matchup today in Denver.
All right, Peyton, I have one for you. Speaking of elite receivers, just A.J. Brown, that situation in Philadelphia, I don't know if you've ever had a situation like that where a guy seems to be a little disgruntled, a superstar receiver. I know the answer because, of course, you have. Elite receivers are always like that. How did you handle that situation?
Yeah, I hate what's going on there in Philly. It's not fun to watch. People always ask me, hey, how come Marvin Harrison never complained about not getting the ball? Because I always threw him the ball, Rex. That's why. Right? Let's not even cross that bridge. I hated the fact that A.J. Brown doesn't seem happy, and they're winning football games. I would tell A.J., the grass isn't always greener on the other side. There are certain teams, if he wanted to go play for right now, I can promise you he would not be happy there. The Eagles are 5-2. They won the Super Bowl last year. There's big games for him coming. There's only one ball, Rex.
Yep.
You can only throw it to one guy on each play. He's not going to have 10 catches for 160 every single week. But if he just stays in there, I can promise you good things are coming. Hopefully he and Jaylen can get on the same page. They're too good of a combination. I understand that he's frustrated at times, but I can think of a team that y'all were just addressing earlier in this program. If he wants to go play for them right now and be defeated so far, it's probably not much fun right there in New York.
Yeah. Good point.
Great point.
Well, Peyton, thanks for coming on, man. But one thing about it, I want to send a shout out to Eli Manning because y'all know what the words are.
You got Peyton.
Thanks, my man. Thanks for coming on, Peyton.
Thank you.
The great Peyton Manning. Again, Peyton and Eli back together for the Manning cast tomorrow night during Monday Night Football. They will have Billy Bob Thornton among their guests. Meanwhile, we've got reporters in a word everywhere. We've got a hexabox, 6 sites covered for you today as we count it down to kick off after a memorable night in the Meadowlands. And that brings us to Facts and Film with our research producer extraordinaire, Evan Kaplan. And so, Cap, this is a team that won the Super Bowl last year with an offense built around the running back, one of the great seasons we've ever seen. This year, it's been vastly different. It's built around the quarterback.
It really has been. Jalen Hurts, one of the best games in his entire career last week against the Vikings. 3 touchdown passes, no interception. But he's been doing this all season. I'm not sure it's talked about with these numbers enough. 11 touchdown passes, 1 interception. That is the best ratio in the entire NFL among QBs to start every one of their games. He is completing just under 70% of his passes. That is 5th in the league. Add 5 rushing touchdowns to those 11 touchdown passes. He has accounted for 16 of the Eagles' 19 offensive touchdowns so far this season.
All right, so he's been spectacular in a lot of ways. But last week in particular, let's drill down a little deeper. There was one thing in particular that was very effective.
It was getting him out of that shotgun and pistol and getting him under center. Jalen Hurts was under center on 41% of the Eagles snaps last week against the Vikings. That was the highest in any game of his career, up from just 11% in the previous loss against the Giants. It's not just a volume thing, though. It's about his efficiency when they are under center. He is completing 80% of his passes when the Eagles are under center this season. That is 2nd in the entire NFL. And remember today, starting center Cam Jurgens out for the Eagles. Could see Hurts under center even more in that second game against the Giants.
All right, we'll see. So again, the play action, something all the quarterbacks on our shows have been screaming for. Cap, well done. That's what the numbers look like. Let's take a look at the pictures here. Alex Smith again, under center, losing that play action, obviously very effective.
Yeah, Cap's exactly right. And listen, we're not the only ones that see us. They're even talking about it in the building. Let's take a listen to what their left tackle, Jordan Mailata, had to say about it.
We had a lot of runs out of under center. We had a lot of passes out of under center. Play actions off of that. And what that does is it keeps the defense guessing. And so it was kind of, the ball was in our court.
The ball's in our court. What's the big Aussie talking about? It's right here. Again, 6 offensive linemen in the game. You see him under center, hard run action. And what does this do? I want you to look at the defensive level. Look at everybody staring in the backfield. trying to diagnose, is it run or pass? Big lane opens up on the left side. We're still in our back pedal back here. Oh, by the way, we got double pancake, Teddy. I know you like that. And again, safety making the tackle at 15 yards deep, right? Having trouble. You know the big fella loves this, right? Getting downhill, picking up our running back for a big gain. Here later in the game, again, 6-0 linemen again. It is going to look identical. You see the Vikings trying to stop the run. They drop their safety in the box. And again, here's the run action. Everything looks the same. Look at all the eyeballs trying to diagnose what's going on. What does that do? Boy, it leaves us great free access for our stud receiver, Devontae Smith on the outside. Full head of steam. You're going to see Minnesota Vikings. They're in a 2 invert again.